It is a competition ultimately. When I first started swimming, that was what drove me. Once they said go, I had just started swimming as hard as I could. You're bumping into each other, and I actually got kicked in the head, and it loosened up the cap, and it eventually came off, but it didn't hurt. It's just part of it. I mean, that's part of the race. That's part of what gets your adrenaline pumping. That's part of why you do it.
Why didn't you put the cap back on?
I thought you were serious for half a second. I was about to say, because I don't have hands, asshole. There's a mindset out there that in order to feel better about yourself, you need to see somebody who's worse off than you. And in that scenario, I am cast as the person who is, quote unquote, worse off. And I've never really thought there was anything bad about my life.
Craig was born on a Friday night in 1974.
As he was being born, they were putting sheets around him so that I couldn't see what was wrong.
The doctor came out, and he was shook up. He was talking all these medical terms, which I didn't understand. And then I finally got it out of him. He said Craig was born with no arms and no legs.
I really don't remember how I felt about it at that time. I just, he was number 4 and he was my baby.
It's always been explained to me as just a fluke, 1 in a million genetic occurrence. I always told my mom that if God wanted me to have arms, he would have given them to me. We looked into prosthetics from the time I was very young, and I just hated them.
I remember when we were camping and we were on the beach playing in the sand, and some kids were staring at him and they wouldn't go away, so he took his shovel and he threw sand at them.
I was the type of guy that if there was a problem, I could solve it, I could fix it. Well, in Craig's case, I couldn't fix it. I couldn't put arms and legs on him.
Dad and Craig have always been inseparable. I feel that God put Craig in the right home where my father could help him do whatever he needed to accomplish.
Gary decided that Craig needed a way to go up the street or even out in the yard.
I stopped the garbage man one morning and told him, if you pick up a tricycle that somebody's throwing out in bits and pieces or it's junk, it don't matter, drop it off at my house. I'm gonna use it for parts to build a trike anyway. We welded a bar back here and mounted the handlebars back. When he fit his chest into there, he could turn. And once we figured that out, why, we were ready to go.
The bike that my dad built just gave me the same freedom and independence that any other 6-year-old would have.
First time Craig got on that trike and started out the driveway, I almost had tears in my eyes just to see him starting out like that. It felt great.
Ready to go. When I was 12, I decided I wanted to hunt. I mentioned that to my dad at some point. I actually do remember him bursting into my bedroom one morning saying, "I got it!" We wired the stick into the trigger housing so it stays there, it doesn't fall out.
Are you ready?
Yep.
No, that was the one on the right.
When we first met, we were playing volleyball together, and he hits the ball off the top of his head to play volleyball. And that is who Craig is. He will try anything and find a way to do it.
I popped a 170 this year, and I actually held a 103 average in the league.
He does everything everybody else does. He lives on his own. He drives his own van.
I got my license when I was 21, and I put my right shoulder stub into the cup. That's where all the gas and brakes and the steering and all that is. Oops, I've dropped my paper. I'm an attorney for the city of Pittsburgh. People sue the city, I defend the city. If it's a single sheet, I'm screwed. But what's difficult for me to do? Nothing. You ever try putting a sandwich in a Ziploc baggie without using your hands? Try it sometime. The reality of my situation is that I do have some limitations, and I understand that. I'm probably never gonna, climb Mount Kilimanjaro or anything like that. I'm probably never gonna run a marathon. But I can swim. I don't really remember when I started swimming. I just always remember being in the water.
He'd just jump off the edge and dive right in, and he'd bob right up and float, and people would just look like, uh-oh, what's wrong with these parents? That kid jumping in the water,
I just shoved my foot stub into the scuba flipper, and that gives me the drive, the push through the water. I can swim like a fish, and as long as I can do that, I'm gonna keep pushing those limits. Think we're here? I had talked to a couple people that knew of a 2-mile race in Moraine State Park, which is only about 40 minutes from Pittsburgh. I started thinking that might be a fun way to push myself.
Hey, buddy. How you doing? How was the trip? Huh? How was the trip?
Craig never swam competitively as a young kid. This all happened in the last year or two.
He hadn't quite swam the 2 miles in his training regimen, but he had come almost to that.
Basically, you're swimming a mile out and a mile back. They had the course set up such that you could see the whole way you were swimming to a bridge.
Oh my goodness, it was so far to that bridge.
Hey, Craig, you still need to come out this way some more.
It's tough to stay straight, man.
It just felt like his buoy would never come, let alone getting out to the bridge.
I couldn't believe he was doing a 2 mile. I thought, oh, can he really do this?
I didn't even realize it at the time, but I guess I had gotten into a little bit of an undertow.
The current was rather strong, and he had a tough time pulling himself back onto course.
Craig, less than a half mile to go. Let's go, Craig! Come on, Craig!
When I got to that last buoy, I really just started swimming even harder.
Here we are among the crowd, but that's our son. And you can't help but have emotional feelings for something like that.
How you feeling, Mom?
Don't ask right now.
How proud are you of this guy?
Very proud.
I think there's always that little 5-year-old inside of all of us that wants to impress their dad.
How you feel? I'm really proud of him. Yeah. He's exceeded my expectations, and really proud of him. I didn't have to swim out and rescue you.